Today we're talking about breath tests in a DUI case, and specifically the importance of what is known as a deprivation period. So when somebody's arrested for DUI in many jurisdictions, they will be taken down to the police station and given a breath test. The police want to use somebody's breath to determine how much alcohol is in that person's blood. So they run it through a big machine called an intoxilizer device, and they claim that that machine spits out a number that is accurate and reliable. In reality, there are certain protocols and procedures that the police need to follow in order to make sure that number is closer to accurate, and oftentimes they screw this up. One of those key components is what's called a deprivation period. So when a person is taken into the station, the police need to sit that individual down and monitor that person for at least 15 minutes, but the longer the better, in order to ensure that there is nothing in that person's mouth or in that person's esophagus or trachea that is going to ultimately impact or interfere with the number that the machine spits out. And here's a little bit of how that works. So when you're giving a breath sample, you're going to be taking air from your lungs up through your throat, out of your mouth, and into the machine. And the intoxilizer device requires you to blow for a very long period of time because they want to get the air at the very bottom of your lungs where there's a lot of interchange between the air, the gas in your lungs, and the blood. And what they'll do, what you want to do is you want to blow that air out of your trachea through your mouth and into the machine. The problem here is that in many cases, some people will have some what's called residual mouth alcohol. So they will have some alcohol in their mouth from the last time that they were drinking, that air will pass by. It'll pass through that same throat lining, and it will produce an inflated number as it comes out of your mouth. And so the deprivation period, meaning they want to put you in a secluded spot where you're not putting anything in your mouth, you're not burping, you're not belching, so that there's nothing in your mouth or throat that is going to artificially inflate that number. The scientific studies show about 15 minutes at the minimum, up to a much longer period of time is enough time for that alcohol to dissipate. But unless the police are doing this deprivation period, that number may be artificially inflated. Similarly, there are other ways that the air that's passing through your throat, up your trachea, out of your lungs, and out of your mouth can be artificially inflated by other alcohol in your system. So there's what's called a GERD. This is a disorder that people have where their stomach will have a malfunctioning flap at the top of their stomach. So anything that is in the stomach will have the tendency to pass through this ineffective flap and come back up the esophagus, up and into the throat. So a lot of people know this as heartburn, or there's kind of an acid reflux disorder. And so if somebody had some alcohol and the alcohol is in their stomach but it's not in their bloodstream, and they're given a breath test and they have GERD or they have some sort of acid reflux or something where alcohol or the vapor from the alcohol mixed with the stomach acids are coming back up that person's esophagus and into the throat, then that will also artificially inflate that person's intoxilizer, the breath test results. So part of the deprivation period as well is to make sure that not only is that person not ingesting anything or putting in mints or putting in gum or something that may have trace amounts of alcohol, but also to make sure that that person is not belching or burping or causing something from their stomach to come up the esophageal lining and into the throat, where you have your epiglottis, which is the flap, is the cartilage flap in the throat that will alternate between these two different tubes coming into your throat, between the trachea and the esophagus. If something is bypassing the stomach flap and your epiglottis in your throat, then that is going to artificially inflate the actual reading from the breath. As the breath passes by, it interferes with that. So I wanted just to be sure that you understand that it is very important that there is a strong deprivation period, meaning the police take at least 15 minutes. If you've been given a breath test, at least 15 minutes to spend making sure that you've been seated, you have been monitored, you have been watched. A lot of police will screw this up because what they'll do is they'll say, in the time that it took for them to transport you, maybe from the scene of the traffic stop down to the police station, they put you in the back seat of their car, and they were monitoring you through the rear view mirror, or they were looking back over their shoulder periodically, and they'll consider that to be a deprivation period, when in reality, that's not the case. and the actual result from the intoxilizer device may be artificially inflated significantly because there was some sort of a reflux. There was something coming out of the stomach, there was residual mouth alcohol in the mouth, and that number is no longer reliable if there wasn't a proper deprivation period. So if your intoxilizer numbers are high, if your breath tests seem high to you, and they didn't do a proper deprivation period, this can be a big defense. This can be something that can totally invalidate the breath test number. So if this potentially may be relevant to you, if you have a pending DUI case and you want to speak with our office about it, give us a call. We offer free case evaluations, and we're happy to sit down, meet with you, and put together a plan to help you through this. Thanks for watching.